Hey everybody, today we are going to be talking about how to deal with haters. How to deal with naysayers, doubters. If you've ever dealt with any Dreamstealers in your business, I'm going to be giving you several tips, at least 4 tips, to deal with the haters and the naysayers and the doubters in your life and in your business. So I think this is going to be really helpful for you. I think this, if you've ever been discouraged by some of the people who maybe, poo-poo on your dreams, I think today's video is really going to be helpful and motivational to you. So if you've ever encountered any naysayers in your life, I'd love to hear your stories below. Just give me one story of somebody that's ever doubted you, whether it's been a family member, whether it's been a friend, whether it's been a total stranger. Maybe you've encountered trolls online. I certainly have.
They're trolls.
So for today's video, let me just tell you this. If you've ever dealt with, haters, doubters, it's normal, okay? In fact, if you're building a business and you are trying to create any kind of substantial amount of success in your life, expect it. And if you've never had any doubters, count yourself as one of the lucky ones. If you listen to, if you've ever watched shows like Shark Tank, it's like almost every entrepreneur that comes on that show has a story of woe. Almost every one of the sharks has a story of these people doubted me and these people doubted me. So first thing you should know is that you're in good company, right? And before I give you the tips on how to actually deal with haters, I think it's important for us to take a step back and for us to understand why haters hate. Why do the people who crap on our dreams, the people who come out and say, oh, that'll never work. You should go back and get a real job. You're never going to make any money at that. Those things never work. Why do those people actually poo-poo on our dreams? Let me just give you guys a couple of tips here. The first thing that I want you to understand about why haters hate is this. Most people are in this world are not looking for reasons why they should step out of their comfort zone. They're looking for reasons why they should not step out of their comfort zone. And there's a quote that I love. Commit this to memory. Common men love other common men because they justify each other's averageness. And it's kind of like the old story. Have you guys ever heard of the story of like crabs? If you put a bunch of crabs in a bucket and one crab tries to crawl out and to get out of the bucket, the other crabs will actually grab and drag him back down into the bucket. It's like being around other people who are like ourselves makes us feel good, makes us feel comfortable in the fact that we're not trying to step out of our own comfort zone. So just understand that when you're striving for greatness, what you're doing is oftentimes you're making other people around you feel uncomfortable in their mediocrity, in their averageness. And you have to do what's right for you. You have to go out and strive for your dreams. The other thing you should realize is that it's easier for most people to criticize things that they don't understand or that they can't succeed at, right? It kind of goes back to the old Aesop's fable. I'm sure you've heard the fable of the fox and the grapes. The fox saw a bunch of grapes, a beautiful, delicious looking grapes up on a vine that was high up out of his reach, and he jumped and he jumped and he tried to grab at those grapes and he couldn't get them. And because he couldn't get them, what did he say? He didn't say, oh boy, I bet somebody else will be able to get them and enjoy them. He said, nah, those grapes are probably sour grapes anyway, right? Well, that's what most people are doing when you are striving for your dreams. If they don't believe that they can do it themselves or they're jealous, they'll often just say, oh, those things never work, right? And it's the way that they can justify in their mind that they're not going for their own dreams. So you need to just understand that it's totally normal for you to have haters. And so the 4 tips I want to give you here in order to really help you overcome this, because I know it can be hard mentally. But one of the hardest things about becoming a successful entrepreneur is what happens here in between your 2 ears. It's what's going on in the mind. It's the head game. I call it head trash. When I get those negative thoughts, when I get people doubting me, I can start to doubt myself and go, man, is this really worth it? Should I really keep going? And so I want to encourage you guys to keep going. And by the way, just keeping going without a plan of action isn't going to do you any good. So before I give you these 4 tips, let me just invite you very quickly to attend my free web class where I will show you a plan for how to shut up the naysayers, a plan to create success so that you can shut them up and say, look, I've actually done it. This is the 3-step formula that I used in my business to become a 3-time top earner in one of my companies, enroll over 1,000 people in less than a year in one of my businesses. And I'll be happy to share that exact same 3-step formula with you. And by the way, I did it all without ever chasing family members and friends, by attracting total strangers to me online without a ton of rejection and resistance. And I'd love to show you that simple 3-step formula. If you'd like to learn it, just click somewhere that you see on the screen. Or in the post description on Facebook, or if you're on YouTube, the post description might be below the video, and head on over and register for that free web class. But first, let me give you these 4 tips. The first tip I want to give you is this. Ask yourself, does this person who's doubting me have what it is that I want?
I want that.
Right? Because if Uncle Joe, who's broke and can't pay his bills, is saying, oh, that thing you're in is a scam and it'll never work, you got to kind of take Uncle Joe's opinion with a grain of salt. Would you agree?
My dreams are coming true.
Uncle Joe's opinion, I'm not gonna put a whole lot of weight on what Uncle Joe thinks if Uncle Joe doesn't have the life that I want. If, I look at the people, one of the reasons I wanted to get out of my job was because I looked at the people around me, and the people who had gone all the way to the top, like I was in education for a long time. And even the people who went all the way to the top, who went, principals, and they were superintendents, I realized even though they were making the kind of money that maybe I wanted to make, they didn't have the life that I wanted to make. And if I wanted to create the life I was interested in, I couldn't do it on the same path that I was on. So if a principal said to me, oh man, nobody ever makes any money at that thing, why don't you just focus your attention here on your job and quit striving for that kind of stuff, I would say, you know what? This guy's life doesn't exactly exude the life that I want. I don't want to be spending, 12 hours a day at the public school system by moving up the ladder. I would rather create a life of freedom. And if you're interested in creating a life of freedom in your business, for me, this simple 3-step formula is how I've done it for myself. And I'd love to show it to you if you would like to learn it. So feel free to click the link that you see in the post description or somewhere on or around this video to register for that free web class. The second tip I'm going to give you about dealing with haters is this. Use their doubts as your fuel. Now, this doesn't work for everyone, but for me, when I have people that doubt me, that is like the ultimate fuel. That is like the ultimate thing that says, oh yeah, you don't think I can? You watch me.
Just watch this.
That's like the ultimate thing that gets me going. And it reminds me of a story I'll tell you real quickly. You've maybe heard this story before. There was a little girl graduating high school in East Tennessee back in 1964. And at graduation, all of the kids were getting up and telling what they were going to do after high school. And most of the kids were just talking about average things, right? And everybody was applauding for the average Joe, the average goal, right? Little, Joe would get up and he would say, oh, I'm going to help my dad, on his farm, and we're going to grow my dad's farm together. And everybody go, way to go, Joe. And then little Susie got up and she said, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to marry my high school sweetheart, Billy. And everybody cheered for little Susie. And then one little girl got up and she said, you know what I'm going to do? She said, I'm going to go to Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm going to be a country music star. And nobody clapped. In fact, there were a few snickers in that audience back in 1964. But today, no one's laughing at that little girl. It's a true story. That girl's name was Dolly Rebecca Parton. And today, she's one of the richest, most successful women in the country music world ever, right? And she said, I'm going to remember these people who laughed at me. I'm going to remember that silence in this auditorium when I said what my dreams were. And I'm going to use that as my fuel to help me achieve my goals. Every time I feel like quitting, every time I feel like giving up, every time I feel like throwing in the towel, I'm going to look back at that, and that's going to be my fuel to say, I'm going to show those people what I'm really made of. And I would encourage you to do the same. So that brings me to number 3. Number 3, don't get defensive. Hold your posture. A lot of people, especially in home business, they want to defend their position. And like what'll happen is they'll get somebody that'll say, oh, that thing you're in, I've heard that's a scam. Those things never work. Nobody ever makes any money. And what they want to do is they want to come back with proof. Oh, no, that's not true at all. Let me prove to you why you're wrong and why I'm right. Guys, trying to prove with words why you're right will never work. You have to prove it with your actions. So what I would recommend you do, if you have, especially if it's family members, a great way to deal with family members is simply to say, look, let's say, Uncle Bob comes to you and says, hey man, that thing's never going to work. You can say, look, Bob, I'm not asking you to run the ball down the field with me, but just don't tackle me along the way, right? I'm going to do this thing with or without you. That is the position you have to take with the naysayers in your life. You have to say, look, I'm going to do this with or without you. It doesn't matter to me whether you join me or not, right? That gives you posture right there, because the fact that you're not needy in asking them to come along with you gives you posture. But the fact that you're not defending your position, trying to prove that your position is right and that they're wrong, also gives you posture. Just by saying, look, all I ask is that you don't tackle me as I run the ball down the field. You don't have to run the ball with me. That's my third tip. And then my final and fourth tip to you is shut up and start producing. Guys, the number one way to shut up your naysayers is for you to just prove them wrong with your activity, with your actions. Go out and produce results, and then you can laugh your way all the way to the bank, right? You can go to you're just going to the bank. Sure, do I get haters? Absolutely. I told you earlier, I had a guy right before I got on, he came over here and put an angry negative face right here on my video, and I thought it was so appropriate for a video where I'm talking about how to deal with haters for me to have a hater right on this video. I love that. And you know what? I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's not going to affect me, and the fact that I'm going to go out and help people every single day. I'm not going to demean my message to the people who don't like me. I'm going to go out and I'm going to serve the people who appreciate the value that I've got to offer, and I'm going to ignore everyone else. And that's what I want to. And maybe this should be a fifth tip that I don't have it on a slide, but the fifth tip I'll give you is this: go where you're celebrated, not where you're just tolerated.
It's time to celebrate me.
Right? That guy who came over and put an angry face, he wasn't even tolerating me. There's some people who are just like, oh, I'll tolerate him and his ideas. Guys, there's an audience of people out there for you. There's an audience of people out there who will celebrate you and the value that you have to offer them. You just have to have a system for how to put that message out there into the world. If you'd like for me to share my simple 3-step system for how I do this every day in my business, for how I enrolled over 1,000 people, how I've became a #1 incomer 3 times in a row, 3 straight years in a row in one of my companies, feel free to click the link that you see on or around this video to register for my free web class. I'd love to see you there. It's totally free. It's about 60 minutes long. And if you enjoy it, there will be an offer at the end. And by the way, for everybody who does attend live at your scheduled time, I will even give you as a bonus for attending what I call my Facebook lead generation template. This is something that you can use to create your post on Facebook in a way that's going to grab a lot more attention, attract more people to you, and help you to generate more leads from Facebook. That's yours for free, just for attending the free web class. So make sure that you click on or around this video, head on over, put in your name and your email address on the next page, pick a time to attend, and I look forward to seeing you on that free web class. Thank you again for attending today's video. I hope you found it valuable. I hope it's encouraged you to go out and take action in your business despite what the haters say. Just know this, guys. If you're striving for any kind of success in your business, you're going to have haters. It's going to happen. You have to know what your goals are, and you have to have a vision of where you want to go and who you want to become, regardless of what the naysayers say or what they think or what they tell others about you. All right, guys, I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Until then, take care and have an amazing day.